on our YouTube? Back on the tank tread Ratrod. Today I'm going to look at the suspension. I need to get it standing up on its own and get it rolling. So if you remember back on the farm truck build, I used these Tamiya semi-truck shocks. They are not the best at holding weight, but they're very scale looking. At this setup I've got them at a very bad angle. So I'm going to try to add some springs to it. And what I use, just some cheap ballpoint pins from the dollar store. They have a decent spring that's pretty good size on it. And that's what I used on the farm truck. You can use RC four-wheel drive shock springs inside of these. They are quite a bit stronger than the Tamiya shocks that it comes with. So we'll try some different combinations of that. See what we can do to get the front working real quick. Alright guys, so it's officially a roller for real now. I reused the piece of aluminum that I took off the ramp truck for the inner structure off that. Bent it and made a transmission mount that way. I really didn't want to weld. Usually I'll bend a piece and weld it in and just try to protect the motor and transmission, but just having a 3D printed intake and headers and stuff, I mean I could take the headers off and I could take it all off, but it really didn't want to mess with all that. I had to tear the chassis completely down, the drill holes and everything. I reused some Jalon 2 RC four-wheel drive shock hoops and the shocks for the rear as well. They work pretty well. Nice resistance, not too soft. The front's pretty soft. I doubled up the springs in the front. I cut RC four-wheel drive inner spring in half. Put half in each, and then I put the original spring back in it. It's got a little more bounce in the back, but I think it's going to be alright. Once we drive it, we'll see. I added a rear cross member, just another tube with some spacers. I did get a spacer assortment set from K&K, and yeah, it's handy. I've got all that stuff again. Had to space the motor mounts, the rear shocks, top and bottom. I put some spacers in the upper 4-link bars. I don't know what size Punisher shaft that is from RC 4-wheel drive. It was one I've had for a long time. It's just sitting on my shelf. It fit in here actually perfectly. And the pinion angles and stuff aren't terrible. I think it's going to be fine the way it is. What else? So one big issue that I've discovered, my shock mounts are taller than the roof. So next time we're going to have to, once we start looking at mounting the body, we're going to have to do some cutting. The shocks are going to stick through the roof of the car. Didn't really wouldn't plan on that at all. It just kind of happened. So sitting back here and doing all this, I was like, oh, I've got plenty of room, and I just, yeah, I hadn't spent enough time with that body since I chopped it. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this one up here. We're pretty close. I could throw a speed controller on there and run it, but I'm not gonna do that right now. There's no sense doing something out of order just yet. So yeah, next time we'll start looking at steering and mounting the body, and we'll pretty much be ready to roll. But I appreciate you watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Follow along on Instagram and Facebook, RC Everyday, and keep it scale. See you on the next video.